A lot has been said about footstrike and heel strike in particular, mostly that it's bad. But is it really? And how bad is it?
The truth is, heel strikers win races, lots of them. So, is it okay to heel strike? It seems that many people worry about how they land when running. That is how their foot actually strikes the ground. And it's something that you'll find talked about quite a lot in running circles.
Yeah, generally these discussions surround injury prevention or improved speed or improved economy with one foot strike over another. And this may have come about with the minimalist trend of the last decade, with people deciding that a forefoot strike was more natural than a heel strike.
Well, I think it's time to look into those claims and present the facts around heel striking.
First, let's make sure you understand what we mean when we say foot strike. When we talk about foot strike, we're talking about the first point of contact with the ground with your foot with each step. And the first point of contact is important because the reactive forces to that first point of contact dictate the impact forces, your muscles used, and the efficiency of your running. Now, there are three types of foot strike. There is heel strikes, who land mostly with their heel first. There's midfoot, which has no bias front or back of the foot when they land, and there's forefoot strikers who land predominantly on their forefoot. Although some researchers do say that there's no such thing as a midfoot striker because everyone has some bias either to the rear of the foot or the front of the foot when they strike.
You're probably wondering which type you are, and you'd like to think that you could actually assess it yourself by going out for a run and paying extra attention to how you're landing. But you're probably going to be wrong, as actually a study shows that only 43.5% of recreational runners correctly identified their foot strike type. So with that thrown out the window, you could opt for a video analysis of your movement, or a simple and more cost-effective way would be to simply get some fresh insoles, wear them for some solid amount of mileage, and then take them out, have a look, and that will give you a good idea.
But do you actually need to know your foot strike? Perhaps not. Keep watching as we dig into the answer. And before we go on, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this video, and don't forget to subscribe to GTN so you don't miss any of our videos.
Sprinters are always forefoot strikers due to the short ground contact time and the sheer speed and distance that they're running, but that uses a huge amount of energy that becomes inefficient and unsustainable over long distances. In fact, if you look at all long distance runners, the majority heel strike. Amongst elite and the recreational runners, apparently more than 70% of them will be heel striking, and this is thought that it's due to the fact that heel striking is more efficient when you're running at slow to medium speeds. And when you even look at the elite runners, you'll actually see quite a variation with the still predominant amount heel striking, although there does tend to be anecdotal evidence that shows that they are able to actually adapt their foot strike depending on the terrain, the fatigue, and the distance that they're racing.
Landing heel first may be more efficient for many reasons. Your heel bone, or your calcaneus, has a natural curve to it. This curve allows for a natural roll of your foot as you land on it heel first. This is known as the heel rocker, and it helps to make you more efficient in long distance walking and running. Forefoot strikers are able to load their calf like a spring and allows good energy return, but it also takes a lot of energy. And of course, they miss out on that heel rocker effect by landing on their heel first.
Different runners can refine each of these methods to a very high level, but obviously each has positives and negatives, as we've talked about. But it'll be down to that movement pattern that has been optimized in training as to which foot strike you are.
And then there's the injury discussion. There is actually no evidence to currently support that one foot strike causes greater injury risk than any other. In fact, the only thing associated with greater injury risk is trying to actively change your foot strike from one to another too rapidly. There is a difference in the type and location of injuries, however, because each foot strike places different loads on different parts of the body.
The forefoot strike is generally associated with greater loads going down through the calf, the Achilles, the ankle joint and the forefoot, and therefore it's more likely to be associated with injuries in those respective areas. And on the flip side, a heel strike is more associated with greater loads going through the patella, so the kneecap, the patella tendon, the knee in general and the hip, and therefore more expected to see injuries in those areas if you're a heel striker. Now, changing your foot strike doesn't mean you're going to remove those injuries. It's simply going to just change the area that's having greater loads in your body.
So to wrap up, having or changing to a forefoot or midfoot strike from a heel strike doesn't improve performance in distance running. It doesn't reduce impact forces, and critically, it doesn't reduce your injury risk. And in fact, most people who try to change their foot strike actually don't. They just change their stride length or stride frequency.
Well, again, injury rates between different foot strikers aren't actually any different. It's just the injury areas. And like I said, if you're a full foot striker, you're more likely to have issues around your calf, Achilles and foot. And for heel strikers, more likely to be the knee area and the hip. So unless you're having chronic issues in those particular areas, then I wouldn't look at even changing your foot strike at all.
There are far more effective ways to improve your performance than trying to change your foot strike, such as following a set training plan, getting optimal recovery, eating and sleeping properly, and working on your strength, your balance and your alignment, rather than trying to change your foot strike.
Yeah, so don't worry. We've answered the question. It is okay to heel strike. Well, if you're a heel striker, give us a like. And if you're not, still give us a like.